The original Lords of the Fallen back in 2014 wasn't exactly a masterpiece, or a true, dedicated Souls-like game for that matter. This was mainly due to the very slow and clunky combat system and animations, uninspired bosses and technical issues, but in my opinion also a lack of ambition. It simply wasn't a true Souls-like experience for most players, because while it did emulate some aspects of the genre enough to gain the attention from Souls fans, it didn't fully commit to the genre. But even if you didn't look at it from a Souls-like perspective, and rather just view it as a standard RPG, it would still not result in a very enjoyable experience due to the aforementioned issues. Now, while the game also had its positive aspects that people did enjoy, you can probably imagine now that the overall reception of the game wasn't really all that great. But we wouldn't be here if I didn't have some good news for you. A new developer team under the name Hexworks aims to transform the elements that hindered the original game into the biggest selling points of the new one. Yes, that's quite ambitious in itself. Despite sharing a name and some lore elements, Lords of the Fallen and Lords of the Fallen are two completely distinct and independent games. So enough of Lords of the Fallen's past. Let's see if the new developer team has what it takes to win over the Souls community. You've already seen quite a bit of footage from the older title now, so looking at the footage from the upcoming game will probably strike you with two very significant improvements. And I'm not talking about the obviously beautiful graphics here, though we will of course have a quick talk about them later in the video. No, the absolute game changer here is that the developers realized that fast-paced, dynamic and impactful combat, paired with badass sound effects and animations, and some really cool, innovative mechanics is absolutely the way to go. This is a straight result from the team's ambition that has become clearer and more obvious with each video they uploaded. And exactly that ambition has led to another, in my eyes, game-changing addition. But let's tackle each point one after the other, and simply start with the combat. First and foremost, like you would expect, Lords of the Fallen's combat inherits pretty much everything that you are familiar with from other Souls games. Target lock-on, dodges, light and heavy attacks, jump attacks, sprint attacks, critical attacks, it's all there. And it looks and sounds much better than the first game. From here, this is also where Hexworks decided to put their own spin on the game. One example would be the option to map 4 magic or ranged skills to your controller, which can be seamlessly and immediately accessed during combat. This makes combat even more fast-paced and diverse, and it isn't interrupted by having to switch out gear. Another really cool mechanic in terms of combat is the Soul Flame mechanic. Basically it works like this. You can use your Umbral Lamp, a key item that I will explain in detail in a bit, to remove the soul of your enemy. You can then attack that soul for withered damage. And from what we've seen so far, you can direct which way you want the soul to go. And since the body follows the soul, if you manage to throw the soul off a cliff or something similar, you just killed your enemy with gravity. Obviously that's a very powerful mechanic, so we shouldn't expect to be able to do this constantly, as it does require soul flame charges. Like in most Souls games, there are in this case 9 classes to choose from in the character creator. But also like in most Souls games, the class choice really does only matter for the first few hours of the game, as you will be able to use all types of weapons, and are free to build your character in whichever direction you decide to go. Since we've already touched on the Umbral Lamp, we absolutely have to talk about the, in my opinion, coolest feature in the game. You see, Lords of the Fallen takes place in 2 parallel realms. The Axiom Realm, aka the Realm of the Living, and the Umbral Realm, the Realm of the Dead. Now don't get the impression that this is purely for cosmetic or aesthetic purposes, because while it does look damn cool, it's also the core gameplay mechanic in this game. This is where the Umbral Lamp comes into play. Before our journey began, the Umbral Lamp actually had a different owner. But since he, for some reason, decided to throw it away, fate intervened and found this lamp a new owner, us. Our objective, without spoiling anything from the story, is to restore radiance to the 5 beacons of the Sentinels and stop Edir, the demon god, from being resurrected. Because if that should happen, he would probably destroy Mondstadt. This is where our journey takes place, in an eye blink. This is why soon, we as players, find out that this very lamp is our best friend and most important tool in this game. Not only due to the aforementioned Soul Flame mechanic, but mainly due to its ability to allow us to see and, more importantly, walk into the Umbral Realm. Some of you may now be skeptical and think that while it's cool and all, why would you want to enter the Umbral Realm in the first place? This is where the game kinda will at certain sections leave you no choice, as you sometimes will notice that there is no path forward in the normal realm, but pull out your lamp and you just might find an entirely new area, secret pathways and hidden items and treasures. Of course, this does come with a tremendous risk, first and foremost due to the fact that the enemies in the Umbral Realm mostly are no joke, and secondly, if you truly want to willingly enter the Umbral Realm, you have to sacrifice one of your 2 lives. In this game, when you die in the Axiom Realm, you are not actually dead, but get a second chance in the Umbral Realm. You will respawn in the exact same location, just the Umbral version of it, and can then try to kill whatever enemy or boss killed you, or search for a vestige, which is Lords of the Fallen's version of a bonfire. If you die in the Umbral Realm as well, however, then it's the typical Souls-like approach, and you'll have to start from the last vestige again. This concept with the lantern and the parallel worlds is such a great addition that really makes this game stand out, because it urges you to explore every square inch of the map. Even if whatever you're seeing in your current realm looks like there's nothing exciting going on there, a glimpse through your lamp could potentially reveal just about anything. This sense of seamless interconnection is even further amplified by the fact that enemies are able to pull you into their world, should you be so unlucky to peek through your lamp exactly at a spot where enemies in the other realm are currently present. The general structure of this game and its world is once again something players will feel familiar with if you've played a couple Souls games before. For example, the game is semi-open world with interconnected levels. There are bonfires, NPCs and traders to talk to, bosses to defeat that look really well designed so far, invasions and co-op and everything else you would expect from a Souls game. Actually, the co-op in this game does take it a step further. While in Elden Ring and Dark Souls your co-op partner had to leave the session once the boss was defeated, in this game you can stay together for as long as you like, which will probably be a selling point for quite a few players. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, we will have a quick talk about the graphics as well. I think it's safe to say that Lords of the Fallen, due to the game being developed in Unreal Engine 5, is the best looking Souls-like game out there, at least speaking from pure graphical fidelity. The world and draw distance looks honestly pretty incredible and seems to offer a lot of verticality, which has always been something I liked in From Software's world design. The dark fantasy, gothic art style also really fits this game well. So yeah, graphics wise I think we can all agree that it looks really pretty damn good. Now the final thing I want to mention before we wrap this up is that I believe the game looks like a more forgiving Souls-like, especially due to its 2 life system, more generous parry windows and iframes when dodging. I don't think that the game will be easy, but it may be just the right difficulty, that you don't have to attempt to beat a boss 30 or 40 times before you manage to beat him. Of course, we haven't seen enough to make a clear statement about this, but given the game's growing interest, this might actually be the game that brings in new potential long-term players to the genre, as it appears to be a good Souls-like for both experienced players but also players new to the genre. As always, I would love to see your opinion on the game in the comments. And if this video was helpful, please consider leaving a like, as it does help me out quite a bit. I'll see you next time.